the fact of during the COVID lockdown, we were able to support 20 families. Do you know what I mean? That is what we feel pretty proud of. That spins our wheels, and we want to do more of that. We believe in business, you are either growing or you're going, and that you need to hand on what you're doing to someone else who wants to do it better, or you're growing, you're making the most of an opportunity. But you can't have everything, so you can't have big profit and a growing business. It just doesn't. Hopefully one day, but we just reinvest into the business to build the asset base really and build more jobs. That's our view.
Welcome to episode 45 of the Innovating Advice Show. I'm joined by Carissa Fairbrother, who is the first guest from New Zealand. As such, we chat a little about the country and the advice market in New Zealand before diving in and learning about Rival Wealth, which Carissa started with her husband Tim in 2008. They now have 20 employees and won a national award for being the best business in the country for work-life balance. Carissa shares what that looks like, how they're building the McDonald's of financial advice in terms of systems and processes, why they've decided to continue hiring instead of staying small and highly profitable, and how an external advisory board has helped them grow. Links and show notes at innovatingadvice.com/episode 45. You're listening to the Innovating Advice Show, and I'm your host, Kate Holmes, bringing you the global pulse on financial services innovation, featuring financial planners, financial advisors, and related professionals from all corners of the globe. Let's dive in. Kia ora, Carissa.
Kia ora koutou, ko Carissa aho, and ngā mihi nui. So, hi, that is New Zealand welcome, and thanks. It's great to be here with you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for giving us the longer version of that in the beautiful Maori language, and for joining us from New Zealand. After all this time, you were actually the first guest from New Zealand, and when we have the first guest from any country, just because I love travel, I love culture, I love the beauty of the world, it's great to just share a few facts about New Zealand. And if you can believe it, most listeners know I lived in Australia for a few years, very much wanted to live there for the rest of my life, but because I always thought I was going to be there, I didn't actually make it to New Zealand, right? Sometimes the things that are closest, you're like, oh, I'll do that next month or next year. And even living there, I always forget New Zealand is so far south. You're way down there, southeast of Australia. So you've got the southernmost capital in the world in Wellington. Everyone generally knows there are two main islands, the North Island, the South Island, but there are also like 600 smaller islands, which is super cool. But you're one of the least densely populated countries in the world. You've only got 4.6 million. And on the flip side of that, I think most people would be surprised to know, I live in Las Vegas and we've got like 2.3 million. So all of New Zealand is only twice the size of Las Vegas, which is kind of wild. And New Zealand's long been on my list. I know there's so much natural beauty there. You've got caves and glaciers and underwater rivers and fjords, geysers, whales, dolphins, penguins, you name it. And of course, most people know you're called Kiwis, and that comes from, I think, a pretty adorable flightless bird that's native to the country. So pretty amazing place you live, Carissa.
Yeah, we do. And we're also known for the All Blacks, and the Lord of the Ring movies were made here. We're the first country to see the sunrise. And another thing that we're often reminded about is we've got the highest ratio for sheep to person in the world. So, we've got the agricultural sector is like the backbone of our country. We're very different to the States in that as you guys keep 85% of what you produce, and so you're only exporting 15%, we export about 40%, near 50% of what we produce. So we are very reliant on the global economy, way down under. But you're right, we're the most southern capital in the world, Wellington, which is about an hour and a half drive from where I live, which is a little rural pocket. the least affected by COVID, believe it or not, because we have the lowest tourist numbers. So tourism is a huge thing here. One day you'll get here, I'm sure.
Yes.
But that's really it's a huge part of our economy. So we are hurting at the moment, but we're pretty resilient people. We call it number 8 wire, which is a type of wire that you can, the fencing wire. And so we have this sort of resilient sort of term in New Zealand that, you can fix anything with a piece of number 8 wire. So I think New Zealanders are pretty sturdy people. So we will get through this period from an economic point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. But 40 to 50% as exports, has that been impacted by COVID-19?
Well, there's been a couple of really good news stories, and that is really from the American market, whereas we have, we export a lot of meat into the States. I think Americans are getting more educated about really getting good grass-fed meat. So we've actually seen a bit of a, that's been going really well for us. And seafood, we're a big seafood producer, and I think there's a lot more in the world of sustainable and knowing where your food comes from, and organic, and less, what's the word I'm looking, genetic sort of
genetically modified. Yeah
and we have a bit of a pure product here, which is lucky, and it's also good marketing. So we're still doing well on that, and we just need to get innovative. So we've got our own Elon Musk here, we've got a rocket lab out in Mahia, and we're known as Wellywood instead of Hollywood. So Avatar, James Cameron, who lives actually in the same region that I live in, he's just down the road on his walnut farm. We're getting that sort of, we're diversifying into other areas. So it's tough, but it's tough for everyone around the world at the moment.
Yep, absolutely. And I do so look forward to coming down. I'd love to, get out and see where you live. I do enjoy big cities and lots of what they have to offer. But, my thing about going to New Zealand, I feel like I have to go for a few weeks and, do a road trip, both islands, just so much to see.
I think because it's so far, like it's probably a 11 or 12-hour flight from Los Angeles. So to make the most of it, I really, you do have to come for a couple of weeks to do it justice. Absolutely. And you'll be more than welcome.
Oh, thank you.
More than welcome to come and stay.
So shifting to the financial planning market, what does it look like there? With only 4.6 million people, how many total advisors or financial planners do you have? And what does that look like?
So I had a look on the stats, and I think you might be a little bit behind the time. We're actually up to about 5 million. Which is quite exciting, and it's taken us since 2003 to get from 4 to 5 million. So in New Zealand, we're a bit behind the 8 ball, and we're just going through transitional licensing from a regulatory point of view. So at the moment, we've got 1,800, so that's 1,800 authorised financial advisors. Now that term's going to change, but that means we've got 1,800 people who are qualified and regulated currently in New Zealand to give investment planning services to the public. In comparison, we have 12,000 lawyers and we have 22,000 real estate agents. So we are a rare breed, and it astounds me how, I think it's a global issue, is that we have a term, people bury their head in the sand. And New Zealanders tend to like bricks and mortar. Everyone loves to own their own home. We're not really, if you can afford to, not really a renting nation. And so a lot of people, invest in their own property and then get to retirement. So our KiwiSaver, our superannuation started in 2008, and it's now the cornerstone of many people's long-term savings. But if you compare us to the States, I think you're 1982 when you started, and Australia was 1992. So we were pretty slow up on the uptake. There was a foray into it in 1972, but then that got canned. So we are really at an age of financial knowledge and financial education, and we're really at the beginning of the journey. We can learn a lot from things that other established industries are doing. Like when I say 1,800 authorised financial advisors across the country, so we've got about just shy of 400 CFPs, so that's only 400 certified financial planners in the country, and the majority of our AFAs, our authorised financial advisors, actually work in banking systems, so they are tied. There's not a lot of us out there who are impartial, but yeah, so there is room. There is a lot of room and a lot of opportunity for people who are client-centric, you know, who want to grow a long-term business helping their clients. There is definitely opportunity in New Zealand.
Yeah, tons of opportunity. Those numbers are pretty small, but how exciting is that? Because then you get to do what you and your husband have done and build these great businesses and be at the forefront of, you know, showing what's possible and helping lots of your fellow New Zealanders and showing other people coming into the industry that, you know, maybe are in a different profession, kind of saying, hey, that would be interesting, but what does that even look like? So let's talk about what you and Tim have built at Rival Wealth. And I just have to start with the fact that you guys won an award for having the best business in the country for work-life balance. That is incredible. What does that look like?
Well, to be honest, it was a huge surprise. I got called to do an interview, and I said to the lady, I said, oh, well, funnily enough, you're talking about this work-life balance because my husband's off to an awards ceremony. I didn't even go because in a room of 1,100 of the best, you know, a big glitzy gala affair, we never thought that we would be in at all. It never crossed our minds that we were so delighted to be a finalist in the Work-Life Balance Award up against some of the largest global and national companies. And when Tim arrived, he actually took his cousin who lived in Auckland, so I didn't travel. And I kind of regret not going. This lady, she knew, she was interviewing me with a purpose. She could have said, oh, I really think it's a good idea you go. And she never gave me the heads up, but that's how we roll. And so Tim was in the back right-hand corner of a room of 1,100 people, and it was like the last award of the night. And so, the surprise was incredible, but what it showed us was that small business values and how we operate, it can be translated into bigger businesses as well. And it's one of talking about flexibility. And I know that COVID has sort of brought it to the forefront for many people working from home. But we started our business in 2008, and right from the outset, because we were having our family at the same time, we were multitasking, we always knew that if it was good enough for us, it had to be good enough for everyone that worked with us, because if everyone's on the same, you know, level, you know, there's just that ownership in the business. But it also meant that when we were busy and it was our kids' sports activities or whatever, we have a rule here that you don't never miss a family event. So it made us make sure that we attended those important events as well, because if we said it was okay for everyone else, we had to do it as well. So it's kind of had a real win-win situation. And also, I think because Tim and I, we have a business of 20, there's 20 of us in the business, and for us, we wanted to treat our team like adults. You know, we didn't want more children. We had 3 kids under 3, and we for us, it was really important that we didn't want to be approving people's leave or, you know, making sure that their timesheets wrong. We're going, right, this is it. Talk within your team, and if you need time off, just make sure there's someone to cover you. Like, use your own sense of judgment. So from fostering that from a very early age, what we have is a team that really steps up when things go wrong for others, and it's a very caring, hard-working environment, you know, as a result. And yeah, we were nationally recognised for it, which was awesome. And the PR that came off the back of that was great because I think, I don't know what it's like in the States around the world, but sometimes when people think of insurance, they think of salesman kind of mentality, used car, when they do perception graphs, we sort of feature down the bottom when I actually think we have one of the most important jobs out there. But so I think by winning national awards and being recognised for good, honest processing or processes, it's really, challenged people's thinking about what we actually do. It's made us more of a professional service, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's important. Our business, and I think Richard Branson says it, doesn't he? He was like, the most important thing in our business is our people.
Yes, hands down.
Is that what? I'm pretty sure it was him that said. Well, we kind of feel exactly the same way. If we can't really talk to all of our clients individually, so we have to have this team of 20 that are amazing, and we need to fill their buckets as much as we're filling ours. So, and from that, clients get great experience. And then when you say, who do you know who may benefit from what we do, they feel very confident in giving referrals because it sits well with them. There's no sneaky, yucky feelings.
Carissa, that is fantastic. So one of the questions I'm thinking, you kind of talked about people covering for other people. So is it still sort of the traditional Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or do people have full flexibility if, like you said, they've got a kids event in the middle of the day, and then can they work those hours at night instead if that works better?
Yeah, so we, just to sort of paint a bit of a picture on the advice side of the business, we have 7 advisors and 8 support staff. So the advisors really, it's so flexible. Like there's not even a 9 to 5. We don't even, it's just like, I'm at the stage now where, to be honest, I don't do evening appointments. But in the start of my career, I did. But now I don't. Do you know what I mean? But if one of our team is doing evening appointments, there's no way I expect them here first thing in the morning. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, go for a run, fill your bucket, because you're going to be better to deal with whatever's thrown at you, or you're going to be more empathetic in a claim situation, or you're going to be more productive if you've actually charged your batteries. There's a big push in New Zealand for the 4-day week. We don't believe in that. So what we've done is we call it a pod system. So our team, you work with one other person or 2 other people. So, and on the admin side of things, there's a lot of crossover. So people can do someone else's role, and we're very strong on our technology as far as our client database goes, and all of our process is tasked and logged. So there's we're very client process driven, so that if someone does get called up for a sick kid or whatever it may be, someone can easily go in and pick up exactly where they are. And when we first meet clients, we tell them about, I explain to people, I say, look, I'm the sort of the pointy end of the stick. I do the advice, and I love working out complex situations and really getting to the nitty-gritty of what you want and what you need and what your goals are. But just so you know, sometimes I'm really shy with paperwork. So we have experts who do that, who process, and you might get a call from Carmel, who's amazing, who will remember to book you in for your next appointment. So right from the get-go, people know that they're just not dealing with Carissa at Rival. They're dealing with our whole team. And we take their confidentiality and their privacy so seriously. But so then what happens in between the team members is, if one person is out, like in school holidays, we're coming up to school holidays, they just sit down and go, okay, well, I'll have the first week. Okay, I'll have the second week. It's worked out. And when it's funny when someone new joins the team and goes, oh, hi, I was just wondering if I could book in a long weekend. We're like, why are you asking? Just do it.
Yeah.
If you can do it, and if you've got a lot of workload, we have an environment where if you have a lot of tasks and you are falling behind, the expectation or the normal is that you put up your hand and everyone just jumps in and helps you till you're back to where you need to be. We eliminate that work stress by working as a team.
That's incredible.
It seems so simple.
Doesn't it? But you know full
Yeah.
well that not a lot of people do it that way. And one of the things that I love that you've said is that you're building the McDonald's of financial advice. And what that says to me and what you just said is, look, we've got systems and processes and anyone can jump in because there's a way of doing it. And that is truly rare to see, honestly, in any business, in any industry. But thinking about financial advice, so much of it is everything is kind of custom for one person. So how did you figure out how to do that early on and build on that over the years?
Well, unfortunately, I can't take credit for it, although Tim might give me credit. But so we really complement each other in that he is very detail orientated and it's ever evolving. Do you know what I mean? I think if an outsider came and had a look at our business, they'll go, God, you've got a lot of meetings going on. We meet consistently because it's totally not about what you do once. It's about what you do often. You can't go on a diet, not eat chocolate for one day and expect to lose 10 kilos. Well, that's the same in business, right? Like you have to have good fitness and good systems and work on your communication constantly. And we have 3 meetings a year where at the start of the year, we have an advisory board meeting, which is Tim and myself, and we have our accountant, a management consultant, and an industry expert. And we go, we look at the history, what happened last year, but it's really focused on what are our goals, 1, 5, 10 years, and what have we got going on? How are we growing? What are the options? What are we doing? But then the day after that, we have a planning year for the team, and we do an exercise called the traffic light system. So red, what do we want to stop doing? Green, what do we want to start doing? And orange, what's going well but might need a bit of tweaking. And what we find is that our system has got so good because Tim and I sit on those days and we just listen. And everyone else picks up all the issues of what we could be doing better. And so it's continuously evolving to become better and better and better. And I mean, it takes a lot of work and obviously subscriptions to the right technology. It's an expensive part of our business. But we also know that we shut down our business 2 days before the national shutdown going into COVID, and everyone worked from home absolutely fine because we worked on the cloud. We knew the system already. It was just business as usual, really, but from home.
Yeah, well, and it's an investment that's worth it, right? Even if it is all of that time, and sometimes you're testing technology, you might need to change technology, and yeah, we both know it can be painful. But once you get out the other end, how rewarding is it to have all those systems and processes in place?
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I think it adds value to our business if we were to ever sell, which we're not going to because it might not look like it on camera, but we've still got a long way to go. We've got another 25, 30 years to go. But I mean, it adds value to our business. But it also makes it from a compliance and a regulation point of view. We track every phone call, every touch with the client, every newsletter. So if anyone came back to us and said we didn't know, we can go, well, actually, yes, we do. Whereas I think that's the risk of having paper files in this day and age is that information can get lost, and potentially then it's your professionalism and your career in a worst case scenario on the line. So we're very clear that we cross the T's and we dot the I's, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, well, it makes it easier for everyone to do their job. Like, I love knowing that a client can call and anyone on your support staff can pick up. They've got all the client's information right there. They can easily answer questions, know who they're talking to. Like I said, that level of service that you're providing and the value that it adds, not only to, your bottom line of your business, but the value that it adds to your clients. And you said it earlier, then clients are referring, whether it's from seeing you winning national awards or just having that experience. And, Carissa, we know financial planning can be a tremendously successful business. You can make really great money, having the flexibility that you've talked about, some of the many things that make this such a great profession. And it's interesting to see sometimes, people like to keep their businesses really small, and I totally appreciate that. And you just have a really profitable business, and it's a big decision to decide to grow. And you guys really went the route of, hey, we don't need to keep all the profits for ourselves. We're going to grow and we're going to create opportunities for other people coming into this profession. So talk us through that decision process.
Well, I think the decision from the outset, because we set up in the midst of the GFC back in 2008, and there were a lot of, oh, that's a really bad idea. What are you doing? And we'd moved from Dublin, which was a thriving financial services hub, to Masterton, which is an agricultural provincial town, and but we are a national player, but our global headquarters are just somewhere very tiny. But for us, it was never going to be Fairbrother Financial Services. It was always going to be Rival so that it was scalable. And Rival for us means we wanted to challenge what people were doing. We wanted people to rival their own situation and see if they could, challenge themselves, really. So for us, we have never, since Rival was, set up, we always knew that there was a point initially where the second day we started the business, we had employed someone to take calls and things. Right from the outset, we were very much, we need to be doing what we're good at and let other people do what they're good at. So every time we kind of grow to a point where there's a bit of pain, and then we add someone, and we normally add them to our junior role, which is new business processing. And so they learn the business from the bottom up. So we have had advisors join our business, but we've also created advisors from within our business who understand our process and the importance of helping clients get financially organized from the bottom up. So it was all about scalability for us, and we've never participated in industry junkets. We do attend professional development or learning opportunities, but for us to go overseas with other financial advisors, to be honest, has never spun our wheels, because we've always believed that, if we wanted to go on holiday, we can pay and go ourselves anyway, and hopefully not to a shop. But it wouldn't be a good look for growing our team if we were taking the cream off everyone else's hard work, because it's truly not just Tim and I doing the work. Like, we just there's people a lot smarter in our business than we are. So, but we've never shied away from asking our providers at times to help us support community initiatives. So getting that community good feel brand, rather than, because we're a provincial, so we stand out here. We can't, it would be hard for us to drive a big flashy European car or anything like that. We're just not driven. Like, my husband drives a pickup truck and I just drive a family 7-seater wagon. Like, it's not what drives us. But the fact of, during the COVID lockdown, we were able to support 20 families. Do you know what I mean? That is what we feel pretty proud of. That spins our wheels, and we want to do more of that. We believe in business, you are either growing or you're going, and that you need to hand on what you're doing to someone else who wants to do it better, or you're growing, you're making the most of an opportunity. But you can't have everything. So you can't have big profit and a growing business. It just doesn't. Hopefully one day, but we just reinvest into the business to build the asset base, really, and build more jobs. That's our view.
Yeah, it really is. You're a family there.
It is. It's a work family.
It is. And it's a family where you're truly caring about each other. And like you said, making sure that all of your employees and your team get the same experiences that you and Tim get, and being with your family, and having 3 young kids, and if you want to take holiday. So where are you getting all of your inspiration when you're making these business decisions? You mentioned Richard Branson. I think that's
that was just the people side. Do you know what? I think Tim and I, we take inspiration from a lot of different areas. I think it comes down to, and this might sound a bit weird, but we both have great parents.
Awesome. That's great.
And Tim's family, they're very inspired. They're still very much part of our life. And so the family unit is something that's really important to us. And it's kind of like the parent test. Sometimes when we're with clients, it's that parent test. It's like, would I recommend this for my parents? Is this the right thing to be doing? So I think the inspiration comes from family and friends. And personally, probably for me, I love the fact that in New Zealand, we were the first country to give the woman the vote back in the late
Awesome.
1800s. We're quite a progressive thinking country. Don't get me wrong, from a privilege perspective, we've still got a long way to go. There is still a gap, but I think there's just so many inspirational people in New Zealand. So it comes from everywhere. We box above our weight on a sporting pitch for a nation of 5 million. Like we're very good at rugby and cricket. First man to conquer Mount Everest was Sir Edmund Hillary in the 50s. He was a Kiwi. So we just, I don't know, we just have good work ethic and we like it. And I think we work hard, but we also play hard and we socialize hard. Not that we get drunk, do you know what I mean? Or, go crazy, and because we don't have a huge amount of restaurants, but catching up for barbecues and having dinner parties and dinner clubs and book clubs and duck shooting and all of those sorts of things. That's what and it's not really money orientated. It's not big fancy trips. It's actually genuine connection. And I think when you have genuine people connection in your life, more gravitates to you.
Yep.
It's that whole, and from an advice point of view as well, the more activity, the more networking you do, the more good quality conversations you have, the more activity. The more I speak at conferences and on TV, the more I get asked to speak at conferences and on TV. It's self-generating.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you fill your own bucket. You have to drink lots of water. You have to be good to your mother, and you have to, stay true to yourself, I think is how it happens.
Yeah.
And listen to others. Lose the control freak. Like I think we lost the control freak side of us, and really realize that we don't know it all. It's okay to ask and it's okay to listen.
Well, and one of the ways you did that is by creating the advisory board. And like I said, you have that sort of one day where you sit back, but the advisory board does more than that.
Yeah, it gives us a third wheel to our marriage, it's not awkward at all. But what it does is, I think if Tim has an idea, because I'm the eternal optimist, and Tim's probably a bit more realist, and so I'll go off on this tangent, and he'll go no, or he'll go on a tangent, and I'll go, oh, that won't do anything. And so having an advisory board gives quality to our ideas. It's that quality standard, it's the quality test. And sometimes as well, when you're in it, you need another set of eyes, and they encourage you. So on our advisory board, it's important to have people, if you are going to have an advisory board, that you admire, that you can see are successful in their own right, and that you aspire to be like, or you really, really, really appreciate their ideas, because otherwise it's a waste of time. If you sit back and go, oh, I know more than him, or our business is more successful than theirs, or whatever, you don't get the help that you really need. So I think you have to be open to it.
So what does your advisory board look like? Who is it comprised of?
So for us at the moment, it's our accountant, who we really like. And then we have a management consultant who's based in Auckland, but he comes down, who is a distant relative. So he knows us as a family outside of business as well. So he really knows what drives us, but he has a lot of international financial services experience. And then we have an industry expert, so someone who's worked with our business for 11 years, but he works with all the businesses across the industry. And then we have someone who was CEO of AXA, which the large French, French-owned insurer, and then ACC, which is a government department for accident compensation, and now he's set up Lifetime Income, which is an investment retirement solution, and he's just articulated and wise. and encouraging and good to give a push, because we are at the stage where we want to grow by acquisition. We can easily, if someone is exiting the market, we think that generally we're a really good fit, because if that person exiting really is wanting their clients to be extremely well looked after by the best, that we can possibly be, then we hope that we would win the base over someone who didn't have such a vested interest in it, so to speak. So we want to grow by acquisition, and these guys are saying, do it. When sometimes you can be a bit nervous about paying big sums of money, they're like, you guys have got it, just have a bit more confidence, or whatever it is to get us across the line. But our business has grown significantly since we added that third wheel.
That's awesome. Yeah. And like you said, it's so hard to let go of that control freak and, to let go of that ego. So much of it is ego, isn't it? Thinking, hey, I don't need outside help. I can figure this out myself. But it is so helpful. I have a business coach because I know in my own head it can be challenging. So whatever that second or third wheel looks like, absolutely. So Carissa, what is your fee model at Rival Wealth?
Well, again, we're opposite to everyone else in New Zealand, possibly. So because we started in the global financial crisis, and people weren't exactly lining up at the door, we started from day dot producing financial plans free of cost with no obligation. And we say to people, we only now write plans for people that we genuinely believe we can help, or else we're sort of batting or re-guiding them after that first meeting. So we're not wasting our time or their time, but we tell clients that we'll do this for free. And when they do their record of client action, we go, there's no obligation to go ahead with all of our advice. It's totally your call. But at the end of this process, we're going to ask you, who do you know who may benefit from what we do? And so where financial advisors may charge $2,000 to $3,000 for a plan in New Zealand, we don't charge at all, which seems silly.
Wow.
But that works for us. That's how we get good quality referrals. And we pay, so for insurance, we were remunerated by the providers. We're generally commission-based for insurance. For KiwiSaver, which is our national superannuation product, it's a basis point fee, as any sort of managed fund would be. And for our investment portfolios, which we manage through, we've got our DIMS license, which is our discretionary investment management service license. There's only 52 of those in the country, where you can take people's money and make investment transactions without a client signing off every single one. From that perspective, we charge, I think it's 0.6 for a balanced fund, whereas private banking is more like 1 or 1.1%.
Yep.
And we pass on all the savings we possibly can. We try and make it as cost effective as we possibly can for clients. Because
awesome.
Again, then they get a better experience. They're getting the top advice in New Zealand, but at a really good value price, because we don't maintain any commercial buildings on the main street in Auckland or Wellington. We're based in the beautiful, sunny, provincial Wairarapa.
Yeah, I love it. And just it's your approach, it's your mentality to all of it. I love how you think. I love the genuineness of everything. I love the spirit of giving back. And I'm fascinated that you work with your husband. We were chatting before. Love my husband dearly. He and I would never work together in something like this. So what is it like working with your spouse?
Yeah, well, I'll repeat what I said before, because I actually pulled Tim aside when I was going through the notes, and I was like, what is it like working with your spouse? Expecting some really romantic response. Like it's just the best thing in my life. Or, he was never going to say it, but he said, I actually think it saved our marriage. And because we're both so driven, and in the initial 3-4 years of setup, actually probably the initial 5 years, when we had 3 under 3 as well from kids, we would have never seen each other had we not worked together.
Yeah.
And I think what's happened is we've both got our areas that we love and we're expertise in, so we don't really tread on each other's feet too much and the one thing is that Tim would be the managing director. So for all the team, if there is an issue, with someone or something, they know that at the end of the day, there can only be one boss. Do you know what I mean? If they need to escalate an issue to the top, we just know that that's Tim, and that doesn't bother me because I'm the boss at home. And ultimately, he'd probably say that I'd make all those decisions anyway. But from an outside, we're not competing. We're collaborating. We're doing it together rather than competing against each other. Like, he's been the best financial planner in New Zealand industry, awarded at our national conferences for the last 2 years in a row. And I'm just so excited for him. I don't think, oh God, I should have been. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just we hold each other up, and I think that's why it works.
Yeah.
Really?
I love that. And it's interesting. I do know a lot of smaller businesses where they either do work with their spouse or they're trying to grow their business to a point where their spouse can, quit their full-time job and come in and work. So it does seem to be something about this profession that really encourages that. And it's fun to see, even if I couldn't do it.
And I think that's probably the difference of there is no hierarchy. So we're both advisors. I'm not supporting Tim in any way, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think if he was delegating to me on a daily basis, we might have issues. I can actually guarantee we would have issues if he was delegating to me on a daily basis. So I think that's why it works as well. Yeah,
definitely. Awesome. Carissa, we could clearly talk about so many more things. You've got so much more to share at Rival Wealth. So how about we plan on doing a part 2 live in person when I come down there?
Oh, I would love that. I would so love that. You would love this place. It's gorgeous.
Oh, I have no doubt. Do you have any final thoughts for listeners?
Yeah, I think if you are the business owner, take some time, because we tell our clients to work on your business rather than always in it. And I think it's important. We help our clients on a daily basis focus on their financial goals and what they really want and what's important to them. And I think sometimes we have to do some self-practice with that and just remember the parent test. So, that's important. If you're sitting down with people, go, would I recommend this for my folks? And that'd probably be the 2 things: is help yourself first.
Yep.
And be good to your mother.
Yes. No.
And I hope someone tells my kids that someday. Be good to your mother, look after your mother, and drink lots of water.
I have no doubt that they hear you say that. So that might be a subliminal message that's getting into them.
Yeah, one would hope. One would really, really hope.
Yes, fantastic. Carissa, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here. And I look forward to making my way down to New Zealand.
Welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Innovating Advice Show. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn and shoot me a thought or 2. Link to my profile is right below. Stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to hearing from you.